Blaming a bad strategy on greed and being wrong in doing so. This is a very real threat for beginners and those just getting started, and even veteran traders, but especially new traders, because when you're new and you don't know what you don't know, part of that is you're not quite sure what to blame for any sort of problems that arise. And in many situations, and I can understand why it may seem as though something is the problem, as you're about to see with a real life example here, what the problem was being blamed on, greed, was not the actual problem. So let me walk you through the comment that this person made, and it really opens up the doors to an interesting conversation and topic here that all traders need to understand. Make sure that you're blaming the right thing. So this person says, Winston, we'll call him. The trapdoor of greed for me is holding onto a good big winner. So to set the context, Winston has, in his words, a good big winner, and he holds on to it. Okay, so Winston, you got a good big winner, you're holding on to it, and then what? Until it comes back and takes me out at break even. All right, so Winston is getting himself into some good big winners, but then he's just holding too long. He's holding, and then the price goes back up and takes him out for break even. So, is he being greedy because he's at a good big winner, but he's not selling? So I guess, by default, that would be greed. Is that what you're thinking? Well, let's keep on moving. Try to be mechanical and wait for the target. Now, right now, you're maybe thinking, well, that's good. He's trying to be mechanical, meaning he's not trying to trade with emotions. And so that's a good thing. And he's waiting for the target. Yep. Do you see the problem? Now think about the context here. He has a good big winner and he's waiting for the target, but the target's never hit. And then the price goes back up and takes him out for break even. So is this a problem of greed, or is this a problem of just a bad target? A target that's not realistic? Because think about it. In his words, he's already at a good big winner. And yet this good big winner has not hit his target. There's a problem there. There is a massive problem though there with his target, meaning his target is way, way unrealistic. Now, I am not saying you should not have ambitious targets, but what I am saying is that if your target, where you refuse to take profits at all, is something that enters into good big winner territory, and yet you're still not going to take a profit because it's still not at your target, that target is insanity then. And it's way too, out in no man's land or out in a very unrealistic spot. And it has nothing to do with greed. In fact, Winston, you're not being greedy, you're being disciplined. You're following your rules. You're following your trade plan. The problem is with your trade plan, and when you have a target that even when you get yourself a good big winner, your trade plan is saying, yep, still not good enough, because it's got to hit this target right here. So, is there something that could be done? And this is where I tell them, why not lock in a bit of profit while you're up big? In other words, Winston, you got some flaws here in your strategy. Why don't you, instead of waiting for that target, and again, there's nothing wrong with a target per se, what's wrong is the requirement of, you just can't sell till you get to that target. And as you saw here, I use his own verbiage with him. When you're up big already, Winston, why don't you take a little profit off the table? And that's the other lesson that to be reminded of or just realize. Because when I was new, I always remember thinking, okay, when you say sell, that means like you sell your entire position. So let's just say if you have 100 shares, and when I say sell, that means you sell 100. But no, that does not need to be the case. You could go and sell 50 shares. You could sell 75. You could sell any number you want. It doesn't have to be 100. Those are partial sells. That's scaling out of a trade. And that's what was getting Winston, was his target being too far off, along with maybe just not realizing the idea that sell does not automatically mean sell everything. But the little tweak here that he could insert into his strategy is going to make his life a whole lot better. That way, when he gets a good big winner, he can still go for an even bigger winner. So I'm not saying you shouldn't try to go for really big trades. That's fine. Let a trade work for you and go for, those big, home run trades. But along the way, you've got to take some profits off the table. And if you're getting into territory where you can say, I have a good big winner, then Winston, pull some profits off the table. It's not greed that's your problem here. Your problem is just you have a little bit of trade management mechanics that are off, and that's making it happen. Whereas you said, oh, oh wow, I'm doing really well. This is a good big winner, but not on my target. Not on my target. Oh, and it went back against me. Just little tweaks like that make a huge difference. But to wrap this all up, you see here how Winston in his mind, he's doing good things. He's getting big winners. He's trying to be mechanical. He's following the rules of his system, but his rules just were off a little bit. So there is no greed here. He was being disciplined. And that's where those lines can start to get blurred, where if you don't have logical, if you don't have reasonable, parts of a trade plan, then it can feel like greed because it can feel like, you're in a spot. But in all actuality, you can be doing the exact opposite, which is what was, is what Winston was doing here, which is just always the cruel irony of the markets, where you can actually be disciplined. You can actually be following your rules and then have it feel like you're being greedy, but you're not. You're literally following your rules. So that's something that you always need to be checking in on is, are you sure you're blaming the right things? Are you sure you're blaming the actual problem? Because what Winston thought here was the trapdoor of greed was it wasn't a trapdoor at all. It was a trapdoor of a bad trade plan in terms of targets. So always be aware of that. And Winston, hopefully, he did acknowledge that, okay, yeah, I guess I can take some profits off when I'm at that, bigger winner point of view. So hopefully things have been going well for you, Winston, with that little tweak that you could do. But like I said, always be, are you sure? And how do you know if you are? Well, like I said, that's where a lot of trial and error takes, and I'll turn into a quick plug. That's where coaching can come into play, right? When you have somebody else that can look and make sure that you're, focused on the right things, whether it's me as a coach or somebody else, consider coaching, consider going with somebody that you trust, because these are the examples where when you have an extra eyeball or multiple sets of eyeballs looking in, they can offer you that, maybe that blind spot that you have. So just keep that in mind for sure. And if you're interested in learning more, just go to claytrader.com. But that's all I have for you. So yeah, get out there and make sure you're blaming the actual problem. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.